Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Dore Show. I'm here with Steph Zamorano and Ron Placone.
Howdy, howdy.
I'm miserable.
So Facebook is doing us all a favor. They're figuring out what's okay for us to read and what's not. Because sometimes you'll read stuff and it'll hurt your feelings, and Facebook doesn't want that to happen. And then there's also sometimes people post articles that aren't 100% accurate, and they call that fake news, and they're going to figure out what's fake news for you. So you don't have to, because you're too dumb. And so
You're a dumb fuck.
You are.
So
You're dumb enough to give all your info to fucking Facebook for free, and then they sell it to advertisers, and then you act shocked afterwards. Oh my God, they're selling my browsing history to an yes. That's the whole point of Facebook, is to sell your data to a corporatist at a profit. That's the whole point of Facebook, right? Mm-hmm. That's the whole point of Facebook. Okay. So what? Guess what? So now, and they have these things. They have algorithms. So if you have any bad words that hurt people's feelings, Facebook will take that post down without a person looking at it or talking to you about it first or whatever. First of all, people can unfollow me. If they don't like the shit I'm posting on Facebook, people can unfollow me. Just like in real life, people don't have to listen to me if they don't want to. If I'm sitting in a park talking, people can walk away from me. They don't, I don't need somebody from the government or from Silicon Valley to come to the park to let other people know what I'm saying isn't true. Right? Or to fucking to vet my speech. People can do it themselves. So this idea that Facebook, again, this is all the hysteria over Donald Trump became president. That can't be our system. It has to be a glitch in our system. No, that's our system that Donald Trump became president. That's the inevitable, that's the logical conclusion to 40 years of neoliberalism that threw workers overboard 40 fucking years ago. But it can't be. It can't be our system. We can't change. So we have to pretend it's something else. We have to pretend it's Facebook memes, or it's the Russian Twitter trolls, or it's everything except what it really is. People got sick of the establishment neoliberalism, and they looked for an out. And there wasn't one, because Bernie Sanders wasn't running as an independent. Their two choices was frickin' Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. They also had Jill Stein, but people were sufficiently shamed for thinking they could vote for her. Anyway, so what does this lead us to? So this leads us to the Guardian's article, Facebook labels Declaration of Independence as hate speech. So their algorithm. So this news organization called the Liberty County Vindicator, a small local newspaper in Texas, posted sections of the Declaration of Independence to its Facebook page in a bid to encourage discussion of U.S. history among its readership. Turns out that violates community guidelines over at Facebook. That you're doing a no-no. Did you know that? Facebook alerted the Vindicator to let them know that the Vindicator being the newspaper, Facebook alerted the newspaper to let them know that the section of the Declaration of Independence that includes a reference to, quote, merciless Indian savages, end quote, was a violation of their community standards. So
wow.
I'm sure the Native Americans were really happy to hear that.
Oh, that Facebook finally someone. So here it is. I'll read it to you. This is the part of the Declaration of Independence that violated Facebook's community guidelines. And it reads, he has excited domestic insurrections amongst us and has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers the merciless Indian savages whose known rule of warfare is an undistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions. So that sounds a little racist to me. Against Native Americans, calling them merciless Indian savages who kill everything without any conditions. But that's in a historical document. You can't just, so they flagged their page for this.
Wait till they read about the Japanese internment.
Right? No kidding. So the Declaration's passage has often been cited as an encapsulation of the dehumanizing attitude towards indigenous Americans that the United States was founded on. Facebook's removal of the section arguably put the Vindicator in a position of whitewashing history.
What's arguable about that? That's exactly what that did.
No, that is
Yeah,
right.
That's absolutely
Arguably-
what they. Yeah, that's absolutely what that did.
No, so if that newspaper had to take that part out of the deck, that would be whitewashing history by definition.
Big time. Yeah.
Yes.
Is that an awful statement that's in there? Yeah, absolutely. But so let's just pretend it didn't happen. Let's
We can't talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
We can't talk about our history. Our history of, genociding Native Americans. Casey Stinnett, the managing editor of the paper, said in a post on the site on Monday that the removal also put them in a, quote, a quandary about whether to continue with posting the final two parts of the Declaration of Independence. Should Facebook find anything in them offensive, the newspaper could lose its Facebook page. Isn't this amazing?
Yeah.
The censorship from corporate America, from Silicon Valley. So that's the new censors, right? So we, again, Chris Hedges talks about this a lot. We are now we're living in what he calls a inverted totalitarianism, where the totalitarianism isn't expressed in a person, but it is in the nameless, faceless corporate state. And, Julian Assange talked about this in 2010 about how the new censorship will come from the corporation. The government won't do it directly. And that's exactly what's happening. And they could lose their Facebook page. Now, we all know how, you can't have a business without a Facebook page these days. You just can't. Or it's very difficult, put it that way, that it's become part of our culture. Facebook page, Twitters, things like that. I know Instagram is too. I don't Instagram. Won't do it. Facebook has had hate speech mishaps in the past. This is from Slate. Facebook has had hate speech mishaps in the past. Black Lives Matter activist Sean King was temporarily removed from Facebook in 2016. So that happened to him. Mm-hmm. What they're afraid is going to happen to them, it happened to Sean King in 2016 because he posted hate speech that he had received. So he was showing people the stuff that he'd gotten. That episode stemmed from a team member wrongly removing the post, according to a screenshot King posted. So that's what Facebook says, a team member. A Facebook team member?
Jimmy, I just want to point out that a lot of people had tried to get off of Facebook. Like, I want to close my account, right?
And they don't let you?
So now the easiest way is just to post the Declaration of Independence.
Ha! Posted 3 times. Facebook and the major platforms are being pressured by European member states and the EU Commission to take an overbroad and immediate response to hate speech, Citron said. Facebook, Twitter, Google, and Microsoft have been pressured, quote, to remove hate speech within 24 hours, which effectively means that you have to use an algorithm. So they've been pressured to remove hate speech within 24 hours, which means you can't do it, have an actual person look at the stuff because it's too vast. There's too many things. So you got to use a computer algorithm. Facebook's apology, by the way, did not imply that it was algorithmic, though it also did not specify either way, said Tarlington Gillespie, principal researcher at Microsoft New England. He said that in an email to Slate. Quote, if anything, part of the problem here is that we do not truly understand how these decisions are being made, only that they are being made. This is a bigger problem than getting it wrong once in a while. I totally agree with that. Again, you have no recourse. Facebook could do whatever they want. Twitter can do. By the way, in Facebook, they think you violated their community guidelines. They just shut you down. So now you're cut off from all your friends and all your family on Facebook. You're just cut out. And now you're also, a lot of people use Facebook to log into shit like Instagram or log into, am I wrong about that? People use their face or into their other stuff. People use, and so now once you're locked out of Facebook, you can't get into those other things. So that's kind of like, someone made the analogy, that's kind of like what cults do. When you cross a cult and you do some behavior that's bad for the cult, that's exactly what they do. They ostracize you like that. They shun you. That's kind of like what Facebook does. It's like a cult. And the problem here is that we do not truly understand how the decisions are made, only that they are being made. And that is a bigger problem than getting it wrong once in a while. I totally 100% agree.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's like one of those things like, oh, well, did they maybe get it wrong this time? No, what are they doing in the first place?
Yeah.
Why does a website that was founded to rank college girls and later just became a data mine for everyone get to tell us what free speech is or isn't? That could have been written into idiocracy. It's ridiculous.
This is ridiculous that we think Facebook has a responsibility to keep us from fake news. What the F? No, they don't. It's fucking Facebook. They have no reason to do nothing. If you don't want to use Facebook, don't use it. If you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, and if you want any type of kind of oversight like that, or kind of any type of community guidelines or stuff like that, make it a public utility. Make it a utility then.
And you know when they say that there's no way to have oversight because there's too many users on this?
Yeah.
They're making billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars. Here's your jobs program. If you want some oversight, and if it would be a utility, it would be, it would provide, I don't know. It just seems like so weird, one, that people are getting their news from Facebook. Two, that they can censor anything that I post on Facebook. Let's make it a utility. And what do we need to do to make it a utility?
In a blog post in 2017, Facebook defined hate speech as anything that directly attacks people based on protected characteristics. And what are those protected characteristics? Well, things including race, ethnicity, gender, disability, or religious affiliation. So you can certainly see how that net would have scooped up the phrase merciless Indian savages. So again, I hope people get it that having Silicon Valley billionaires determine what's fake news, what's real, what's hate speech, what's not, who gets to have free speech, who gets to talk in the town square, because that's what Facebook is. It's a town square. And now a Silicon billionaire in darkness, by the way, gets to decide who has free speech in that town square and who doesn't. And, if the government and the establishment are that concerned about what's happening on Facebook, because they certainly are, then maybe it is an important public utility that everybody gets to have access to, and you have the same rights of freedom of speech as you have in the real world. Mm-hmm. Maybe we should do that. And what they're doing by saying that Facebook has to cut out the fake news, what you're doing is saying that people can't handle being alive, because there's propaganda every day. There's fake news. Every goddamn commercial that comes on the TV is propaganda and fake news. We can handle it. I know that using a whitening toothpaste isn't going to make my life better. But they can tell me that. They can tell me I'm going to get a better job or a raise or fall in love. My whole life is going to work out if I just use this toothpaste. Or deodorant or whatever.
Yeah, that's the other thing worth pointing out. If something like Facebook were a utility, it would have to follow the First Amendment.
Right.
They couldn't just make up their own rules
Which is
and
what
then
they're
have
doing.
some algorithm that doesn't even work.
Yes. Oh, this speech is too offensive for our folks. Hey, we live in the world.
Right.
We can handle it. So all this is, hey, what we're going to do is control what you think and see. That's what that is. That's what Twitter and Facebook and any other place that says we're going to filter out fake news for you, they're going to control. They want to control what you can read and what you can say. Because that's what this is. This has anything to do with freedom, liberty, or protecting you. This has to do with corporate control of the narrative. That's what this has to do. And the government wants Facebook to crack down on the narratives that they don't like. Like one of the narratives they'll call fake news on Facebook, if you talk about those gas attacks in Duma and Ghouta being a false flag attack, if you question that narrative, that's considered fake news on Facebook. Congratulations. Now only government-approved propaganda gets a place on Facebook, because that's what they're doing. Anything? No? Okay. Congrats. Hey, please make sure you're subscribed. Even if you think you are, you probably are. It only takes a second to check. And then click that bell to make sure you get a notice every time we drop a video. They won't tell you every time anyway, but it's the only thing we can do to fight back against the bastards. So please make sure you're subscribed and click that bell. And our next live show is July 15th in Chicago. And after that, July 27th in Burbank, California. Special guest on that show, Abby Martin. And if you could become a patron, that would be fantastic. We give you hours of bonus material every week. Thanks for your support.